Hello, everyone. Welcome to Durrett's Take. Let's get started. So there's a lot of good playoff matchups coming in NFL this weekend. But first, before I get to that, I got to go over um, all the different games that happened during Wild Card weekend. So let's get started with the Raiders and Bengals. 31 years in the making. So it has taken 31 years, but the Bengals finally get a playoff win. It was it was a touchdown game, and like I predicted the Bengals will win exactly by touchdown. That's what happened. Um, and I knew, Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and the offense would just be too much for the Raiders, which in the end it was. So congrats, for the Raiders to make the playoffs in general, despite all their drama, and congrats for the Bengals finally getting a playoff win. Patriots versus Bills. Bills feast on mac and cheese. I thought the game would be a low-scoring game, mainly because of the weather, but I was dead wrong. And Mac Jones, had 2 picks, and we know what he is at this point. The bad defense for the Patriots was surprising me, and the Patriots now see that even with Mac Jones, a run game, and then a usually good defense. You just need more from the quarterback position, like you got with Josh Allen or Mahomes, if you want to go far in the playoffs. Chiefs fans got to feel nervous now, by the way. Eagles versus Bucks. Bucks hurt the Eagles. Tampa could do anything they wanted, and as they shut down, Jalen Hurts and Philly, the final score doesn't reflect how much of a blowout this actually was. A lot of people thought Philly was going to either, make it very close or not get the downright upset, and I just did not get that. It's like, yes, weather was supposed to be a factor, ended up not being a factor, and yes, Tampa Bay has some injuries and they sustained more in this game, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But it's just like Eagles have not been any playoff teams to get to the playoffs, and Eagles are a run-heavy team, and the Bucks are a good run defense. So I just knew that was not going to be a good combination, and the Bucks were going to win by double digits. So I don't get why people thought that was going to be the upset of the weekend, but once again, I was proven right there. 49ers versus Cowboys. Jerry's Blues. Um, Once again, Cowboys came up short, and Jerry Jones has to, think long and hard about how he wants to proceed this offseason. And this is an upset I was worried about. As Cowboys, and hopefully it wasn't going to happen, although I acknowledge that it could happen. But, I mean, where to start with the Cowboys? I mean, I feel like a lot of people are going to point to that final play, the quarterback draw and all that. And while Dak Prescott should have gone out earlier, I think it was a stupid play call by Kellen Moore and Mike McCarthy. I don't care how many times you practiced in practice, you didn't practice it with the reps that you would be using for in the game, or the exact clock number. Most likely you didn't practice. So it's just kind of like a lot of different scenarios that you can't really plan for in practice, so you can only experience in games. So it's like if you want to try this play for a regular season game, fine, but not when the stakes are this high in the playoff game. So that's a dumb play call. But then also, it's just like you get a point to the 14 penalties, including 11 pre-snap ones. Like the one where Randy Gregory was really hugging someone as called for defense holding. It's like there was 2 defensive holding penalties by defensive linemen in this game, which that should never happen. So I feel like this again, like it's the player's fault. It's some retrospect, for community penalty, but like this comes down to Mike McCarthy for not getting his team disciplined enough. The Cowboys are the most penalized team in the league all season. So it's not like this is just a oopsies one time, thing where just off. It's like, no, this is big system problem here. That's why I'm in favor, along with this bad clock management skills, but that's why I'm in favor of a coaching change here. Although with the way Jerry is, I doubt he'll do that. But again, we'll see how. We'll see what he thinks this offseason. We'll see if he gets persuaded elsewhere. Um, Steelers versus Chiefs. A Chiefs explosion. While the Chiefs ran out of actual fireworks, their offense, goes from dud to stud, um, in a matter of like 5 minutes. They scored 42 points. It felt like basically. But this is why the Chiefs are so dangerous. Because as we saw in that run where they did make the Super Bowl, they could be down 24-0. Oh, no problem. We'll score 51 points in a row type of thing. Now, against this game of the Bills, I don't think they can come back from being down 24-0, but we even saw last year against them, they were down 9-0. They go on a 30-16 run. So it's just like, it'll be interesting to see what happens there in that next game. But, the Bills-Chiefs game, I mean, we're expecting an epic game between them last year and the AFC Championship game, which we did not get for the most part. So hopefully this time it comes to fruition. Cardinals versus Rams pushed off a cliff. This was a concern coming to the playoffs because Cliff Kingsbury has been outcoached over the past month and a half or so. Now, of course, there's injuries to point to, like JJ Watt being out all this time until the this playoff game. It looked like he was limited, or DeAndre Hopkins being out. So there's obviously it seems like the team's 100% by any means, but still bad. Like the defense, even though it's not Cliff Kingsbury's side of the ball, like the defense couldn't stop a nosebleed. You cannot give up that many rushing yards, and even let's say the offense scored 20 points. You cannot give up that many rushing yards to expect to win that game. And you could just tell from the start that the Rams were the more prepared team and the more motivated team than the Cardinals would. Now, a lot of people are going to say, "Oh, now you should consider fighting Cliff Kingsbury." Not for this year, no. He showed progression every single year. Now he does have bad Decembers and January, so he does need to figure that part out. But because if he shows at least the steady, if he's steady, or even shows a little bit of progression, obviously, then I feel like he'll stay around another year. But if for some reason next year he shows a decline and it's not because of injuries, then that's where it's like, okay, now you got to consider where letting go now. Okay, so now I want to go over my predictions for this weekend. Now, of course, things could change depending on what injury news we hear about over the weekend. So keep that in mind as I'm making these picks. But let's start off with the Bengals versus Titans. So this one, it obviously depends on if Derrick Henry can play or not. He's practicing now and he's on track to play, but they're saying question. They're probably not going to declare him eligible until Friday and maybe the day of if he's going to play or not. So I feel like if he doesn't play, the Titans lose automatically. But if he does play, that's interesting because even though since Joe Burrow, the offense is excellent and all that, and could cause Tennessee some issues, I just feel like Cincinnati's defense can be had, and while Derek Carr is a better quarterback than Ryan Tannehill is, the Titans have better weapons, at least top-heavy weapons, I would say, than the Raiders do. So that would be kind of a mismatch there. But the biggest reason why I'm going with the Titans here is because Cincy has a bottom 5 O-line, and the Titans have one of the best pass rushes in the NFL. That spells recipe for disaster. Now, could there be a rust thing? Because sometimes with teams with buys, they get some rust to them. So I could totally see that happening. I could totally see Bengals getting upset here. But I feel like this will be a lower scoring game. A lot of people are probably going to predict, a lot of scoring, if not a shootout here. But I'm going to go lower scoring here. A one possession game. But I feel like the Titans are going to hold off and get the win here. 21-16. Next, you got the 49ers versus the Packers. So this one, the Packers are getting healthy. They got the bye and Raj Toe's healthy and all that. So it's all good for them. Now for the 49ers side of things, where things get interesting, because Nick Bosa, he has to clear concussion protocols. So if he's out, that's definitely gonna halt the 49ers' progress there, along with, Fred Warner, being looked at ankle injury. But also, even though Jimmy G's on track to start, he has a sprained shoulder. He won't be 100% along with that finger he still has technically. And what's interesting that can keep the 49ers in it is that the Packers are a bad rushing defense. And obviously, 49ers have to rush the ball. So I feel like, especially rushing games can travel in cold weather. So I do feel like that will favor the 49ers. But when it comes to a situation where Jimmy just got to throw or be consistent at throwing, in a cold weather or bad shoulder and all that, I just don't feel like he's going to be able to deliver. I feel this big game where 49ers are settling for field goals, Packers are getting touchdowns, but then all of a sudden 49ers can make a strong run in the fourth quarter, make it interesting, but in the end Packers will win. And I had them winning covering 24-16. Next, you got the Rams versus the Bucks. Now this one, it all depends on who you tell me who's playing for the Bucks. That's what I need to know for this one, because if Leonard Fournette's playing the Bucks, if Tristan Wirfs, if Jensen, they're two best, they're two, starters on the offensive line. They're playing. Then I'm going to take Bucks, mainly because one, the Rams won't be able to run the ball. I did it on the Cardinals against the Bucks. That's not going to work this time, which means Stafford's going to have to throw. And then two, do you really trust Stafford to throw? Because see, I feel like if the Bucks, have their two starters on the offensive line, Leonard Fournette out, then I feel like the Rams defense, which is good, will definitely get after Tom Brady, not a mobile quarterback and all that will cause problems there. To where Stafford can make a mistake or two or not play perfectly and they get the job done. But if those two offensive linemen are back and healthy, and then they have other Ronald Jones and Leonard Fournette back healthy, and they're able to contribute, then the defense will still have some success against, but success against them, but also be neutralized. So then it comes down to the Rams offense versus Tampa Bay defense. So if that's the case, I have favorite Tampa Bay's defense. So I'm going to have Tampa Bay at home get the win here. I'm going to have them winning 24-20. So then you get the Sunday night game between the Bills and the Chiefs. Again, this one can go either way. But the reason why I'm going to go with the Chiefs here, despite what the Bills did, is because, as we've seen all year, Josh Allen is very hot and cold and very inconsistent. Like, one day he can have 5 touchdowns, 400 plus yards, no picks and all that. But in another game like AK Atlanta, 1 touchdown, 3 picks, only 200 yards or something. So it's like very hot and cold there. You just never know where you're going to get. And while Mahomes has struggled to begin the year, you're going to get a lot more consistency with him usually. So that's why I'm going to go with the Chiefs here at home, barely by field goal, 34-31. So thank you very much for listening to my podcast today. Please subscribe to my channel, tell everyone about me. Thank you very much, and y'all have a wonderful day.